Mercedes-Benz recently sent Coco Gauff a check for $90 million. Not $50 million, not $60 million, not $90 million spread over 7 years. And if you're wondering why Sabalenka may be upset about this, allow me to explain. This is the top spot in the globe right now. The current US Open champion, who has won 2 of the last 3 Australian Opens, is witnessing a 19-year-old receive what could be the largest endorsement contract in women's tennis history. Furthermore, Mercedes didn't even call her. There is more to this than just money. This relates to Mercedes-Benz's highly visible announcement about the person they see as the future of sports marketing in general and tennis in particular. And one of the most powerful players in the game is now on the outside looking in as a result of that statement. We must first comprehend how Coco Gauff came to be in this situation before delving into the intriguing aspects of what just transpired, because Mercedes is not the beginning of the story. It all begins with BMW making what must be one of the most expensive errors in sports marketing. BMW was the first to have Coco. When she was just a teenager making waves at Wimbledon, they signed her. She would arrive at tournaments in their vehicles. Grand Slam broadcasts featured their advertising. It appeared to be the ideal collaboration from the outside. An up-and-coming American celebrity joined forces with a prominent German carmaker. However, some acquainted with the arrangement claimed that things were collapsing behind closed doors. According to reports, BMW treated Coco the same as any other athletic sponsor. They didn't really want to hear her thoughts on social concerns or artistic direction, but they did want her name associated with their business and her face on ads. However, Coco didn't want to be just another attractive face advertising high-end vehicles. She wished to discuss sustainability. She desired to participate in campaigns that aligned with her beliefs. Not simply a place in front of the camera, but a seat at the table was what she desired. Both parties referred to the breakup as mutual when it was revealed. However, anyone who has observed enough of these business partnerships understands what it entails. One side wanted to leave, and the other was powerless to stop them. Mercedes-Benz was seeing the entire situation when Coco left BMW. This is when things start to get interesting. According to reports, Mercedes executives met with Coco's team in New York immediately following the US Open. They didn't present a typical offer. They were ready to make this the decade's most memorable sports deal. $90 million over the course of 7 years, a fleet of vehicles at her disposal, creative control over her campaigns, personal oversight of sustainability initiatives, and, most importantly, a genuine partnership where her voice would be heard, all of which BMW had refused to provide. The announcement was expertly planned. Mercedes pulled up in a black EQS to the courtside plaza while Coco was already in Beijing for a tournament. Wearing white and silver, she appeared to be the owner of the entire car industry in addition to the tennis court. The cameras went crazy. You can bet that BMW management were having a very tough discussion about how they allowed this to occur somewhere in Munich. Let's return to Sabalenka, though, as Sabalenka was in the midst of what could have been her best season when Coco signed this historic contract. In January, she won the Australian Open. She advanced to the French Open semi-finals. She defeated Coco in the semi-finals to advance to the US Open, which she won in September. Sabalenka is now the top player in women's tennis by any objective standard. So, why didn't Mercedes cry out to her? Industry analysts claim that tennis rankings had little bearing on this choice. It was about something considerably more significant. Mercedes was placing a wager on its ability to connect with younger customers who are more interested in things other than horsepower and leather interiors, as well as on its cultural influence and global reach. Additionally, Coco Gauff checked boxes in that computation that Sabalenka just doesn't.
Let's be honest about this.
Because Coco is American, she has instant access to the world's largest market for luxury cars. Beyond sports, she is already well known throughout the United States. She speaks clearly. She actively participates in social concerns. Traditional athletes would find it difficult to connect with Generation Z the way she does. In China, where tennis viewership has been skyrocketing and Mercedes sees great growth potential, she is also becoming immensely popular. Despite her domination on the court, Sabalenka doesn't fit that description. Due to geopolitical issues, She is representing Belarus under a neutral flag. Although genuine, her public presence is more guarded. Her social media following is different. She also doesn't provide Mercedes with the same cultural narrative chances as Coco, whether that is fair or not. Sabalenka is an exceptional tennis player who has earned every bit of her success, so I want to proceed with caution. This is not an attempt to minimize her accomplishments. However, it's not often the best player that receives the largest check in the world of endorsements, particularly at this level. The player that adds the most value to the brand is this one. And it was evident that Mercedes valued Coco's voice, platform, and cultural significance at $90 million. All of this is made much more pointed by the timing of it. The WTA Finals in Riyadh marked the start of Coco's first significant campaign with Mercedes. There were Mercedes logos all over the place. Every broadcast features courtside signage on her uniform. Additionally, it didn't feel forced because Coco was winning games and appearing dominant. It had an organic feel. Sabalenka was competing in Riyadh at the same time, and while she performed admirably, she lacked the same degree of brand amplification. This agreement is one of the largest athlete-brand collaborations of the decade, according to Forbes. According to Bloomberg, the statement increased the value of the Mercedes brand by billions. That's not exaggeration. That is how the market actually reacted to Mercedes' landing. Women's tennis is already seeing the effects of Coco. Coco's deal was immediately used by other players as leverage in their own talks. Everyone's ceiling gets raised when a deal of this magnitude is signed. It compels sponsors to reevaluate their willingness to compensate female athletes, calling it a power move. Serena Williams expressed her support in a post. According to Naomi Osaka, this went beyond tennis and signified a fundamental change in the way sportsmen handle endorsements. In the midst of all of this, Aryna Sabalenka had to witness the lady she defeated at the US Open become the face of one of the most prominent car companies in the world. Sabalenka hasn't made any public remarks on any of this as of yet. To be honest, it's unlikely that she will. She is too professional and too preoccupied with her tennis to allow something like this to divert her attention. However, you have to assume that there is some annoyance there. She is the most popular person in the world. 3 of the previous 5 Grand Slams have been won by her. Nevertheless, Mercedes wrote the $90 million check to someone else when they were prepared to do so. In a larger sense, this indicates a change in the way premium brands approach women's sports marketing. In the past, Formula One racers, basketball players, and male football players received these enormous deals. Women's campaigns were less conspicuous, and their contracts were smaller. Because Coco is getting paid like a celebrity regardless of gender, her contract defies this pattern. She is comparable to the biggest stars in sports. And that's perhaps the most important aspect of it all, since Coco's acquisition of a deal of this magnitude raises the entire category, regardless of whether Sabalenka has won. It demonstrates that these numbers are achievable for women's tennis. It makes other companies reevaluate how much they are willing to spend on female athletes. Here, Mercedes is likewise placing a long-term wager. They are aware of how the automobile sector is evolving. Electric cars, sustainability, and appeal to younger customers who place a higher value on things than luxury. These are the difficulties that every maker of high-end vehicles faces. Coco is a fantastic fit for that future. She's quite young. She speaks out on environmental issues. She is a perfect fit for Mercedes' target market. Coco Gauff will represent Mercedes-Benz for the next 7 years. She will represent their brand at significant international events, drive their electric cars, and participate in their commercials. Additionally, Mercedes wins every time someone spots her driving a Mercedes, every time one of her advertisements goes viral, and every time she wins a significant event while sporting their emblem. In what appears to be a reactionary move, BMW has apparently signed a young football player. However, the harm has already been done. Everyone in the business is aware that they had Coco Gauff and allowed her to leave. That's the kind of error that serves as a cautionary tale for years in boardrooms. This is what I would like to know from you. Do you believe Mercedes made the right decision by going with Coco instead of Sabalenka? Or do you think that this choice should have been based more on pure tennis dominance? Is Sabalenka being disregarded due to circumstances outside of her control? Or does Coco actually provide a worldwide brand with greater value? In general, do you believe Mercedes is overpaying to make a statement and garner attention, or does this $90 million sale represent Coco's true market value? I would also like to know if you believe that this has any impact on Sabalenka's legacy. Does losing out on this kind of huge transaction make her accomplishments less significant? Or are the court rulings ultimately what matter? I sincerely want to know what the tennis world thinks about this, so please share your opinions in the comments. Both sides of this argument have merit. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to be informed on the commercial side of tennis, including all the endorsement deals and off-court problems. From player contracts to tournament economics to the business alliances that influence the sport, we cover it all. We'll keep you up to date on everything that occurs in the sport that we all like, both on the court and in the boardrooms where these enormous agreements are made.